and welcome to the Ask Arlene Show, the show where you have the opportunity to ask the questions of great and powerful leaders of our time. We're so excited today to have a special guest with us. And that special guest, I'm going to let you know all about him in a few minutes. But first, for those of you who don't know, I am Arlene McLaren. I am the host of the Ask Arlene Show. I'm a life coach and business consultant. I specialize in the area of momentum and peak performance. So all of you remember that I am the author of the book called 10 Secrets to Overcoming Fear, Getting Unstuck After COVID-19. During this program, we bring on excellent guests, but only the tried and true. We bring on people who we know don't just talk the talk, but actually walk the walk, which is why I'm so excited about this show today in particular, because we have with us none other than an amazing gentleman. His name is Matt Gil. Now, those of you who are, most of you are friends and part of the Motivating the Masses family, so you already know this gentleman. So I'm just reintroducing to some this gentleman. But then for those of you who are a part of our group and have never met him, this gentleman is not just a key piece of that program, but he is the meat and potatoes. You know, the stuff in the middle of the sandwich that holds the sandwich together. That is Mr. Matt Gil as far as this whole operation. So I'm so excited to have him with us today. He's been a part of Motivating the Masses for over 13 years. He's the right-hand person to our fearless leader and life coach and motivational speaker, Lisa Nichols. He has written his own books, and that book that he's written is called Got It, Get It, Give It. And we are so excited because in addition to that, not only does he support the Motivating the Masses team, but he himself is a transformational coach, guys. So we're so excited and lucky to have him today because he's going to help us to transform our lives and be the best version of ourselves. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome to some and reintroduce to others our guest for the show today, Mr. Matt Gil. Hello, Matt.
Arlene, thank you so much for having me. It's super exciting to be here with you and all of your community.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to be with you. For those of you that don't know, I met this gentleman. I called this gentleman and tried to see if I could get some coaching from his organization. And he said to me, I know exactly who you need to talk to. Guys, this is just how the universe works. This is how God works. He just puts people together that you need at the right time if you're willing to extend yourself and make the phone calls. So those of you who have been on for a while know that we have a mastermind group, and we're inviting you during the conversation to log on and be a part of our team and a part of our group at bit.ly/Ask Arlene Show so that you can join us there and ask questions, as well as being a part of our programs. So this gentleman was able to introduce me to that group and really just turn me on to this concept that I could move forward from my situation. I could get unstuck and I could be more clear. So I went clear across the country to the other side. Most of you know we're in New York. How's the weather in California, Matt?
It's hot. I'm in sunny San Diego, and it was actually at the beach earlier this afternoon.
Ooh, we're so
hot.
Beautiful. Oh my, which beach?
San Diego. So Carlsbad, north.
Beautiful.
That's my home. Listen, what I love is when you get to create a life where I was sitting at home in my office and I was like, I want to do some work from somewhere different. I need to step into a different space to be creative.
Yes.
I thought, you know what? Let me just pack up my phone. Let me go to the beach and just get in some vitamin D and do my work remotely. And it's what I love about your story and what I love about the opportunity that you were given. Let's look at we look at certain things that happen to us as they're happening to us instead of for us. So one of the first things that I would say is when you're looking at a situation and something happens, whether you lose a job or you don't get the relationship or you get passed up on something, we have the tendency of looking at it that it's happening to us. I didn't get the job and that happened to me versus it happened for me. See, you were passed up for an opportunity, which opened up the door for you to tap into what you truly wanted to do, what you were intended to do. And
Yes,
so
wow.
instead of, for me, I knew that in this heat, although I don't have air conditioning, I have a beautiful, I don't know if you can see my ceiling, but it's a beautiful wood ceiling with no insulation. Yes. So the heat just penetrates inside. So I was hot and I was getting frustrated, and I was like, you know what, let me do something different. Let me switch up my environment. Let me get into a creative space. Fortunately, the beach was there. So instead of looking at the heat as it was happening to me and impacting me, it was happening for me, because I actually got more work done at the beach than I would have done if I was staying at home. So when you begin to look at life differently and you begin to make small, little, minor mindset shifts, that things are happening for you versus to you, you empower yourself to move forward. You, all of a sudden, all that negative energy that you carry around of like, I should have got this job, or I should have been in this relationship. When you shift that mindset, that negative energy no longer is attached to you. Wow. And you're open to receive more abundance. You're open to receive more of the blessings and the powerful, positive things that your life was intended to have.
Wow. How did you come to that realization? What happened in your life that let you know what these steps are to manifesting the things that you desire?
So, you know, it's an interesting question. So I grew up at a very young age. I developed a belief that in order for me to feel valued or be valued, I had to do things for other people. So my value was based on what I did versus who I am. And so I was always trying to please people. I was always trying to please the adults in my life. I tried in school. I was the super achiever. I was involved in all of the different student activities. I was horrible in sports. I tried. But student activities, I was super good at. And so I tried to be everybody's friend. I tried to make everybody happy. And that belief and that practice, as I grew up, I started to show that and that belief in my work environment. So I promoted very quickly. I promoted, I had access to benefits and things that other people didn't have because I was trying to prove something versus loving me. Even in relationships, like I was trying to please, I wouldn't get into relationships because I didn't want to make other people upset. Or I wouldn't seek out opportunities because I didn't want to take it away from somebody else. Like everything that I was doing and my value was based on showing up for other people.
Wow.
It wasn't until...
I can relate to that.
Yeah. A lot of us do. Like a lot of us, we try to prove something. And if we don't prove or we don't make people happy, then we think, what's wrong with me? I see some of the people in the chat that are saying, you know, like I relate. Excellent point. Just like we go through and our value is based on our what we produce versus allowing ourselves to just love and truly be ourselves. And so it wasn't until this year, actually March of this year, March 1st, that I publicly came out as gay. And I've never tried to hide it, but I've never actually shared my story, because I would always go through and I would take the temperature of the room and see what can the room hold. If I show up this way, will the room be able to handle me? If I show up this way, and I kept this constant game of just taking the temperature versus allowing myself to just show up 100% me. And
okay. So this is awesome. This is awesome. So a lot of our listeners are like yourself, and we have been people who have wanted to please and do well, whether it's our families, our parents, our friends. And so because of that, perhaps we weren't doing what we're really called to do, because maybe that wasn't in line with that mold of excellence that we thought we needed to have. Although we know now, because of all of you life coaches and all of the books that have been written and tapes that are out there, that people can be successful and be millionaires or billionaires, you know, with sweeping the floor. You can have $1 billion floor sweeping company or organization. You don't have to be a doctor or a lawyer. You can be a doctor or a lawyer and still not make any earnings, especially right now.
And be unhappy.
And be very unhappy, very unhappy. I know attorneys right now that are not doing as well as they had been doing in the past and really aren't making much at all because people weren't really walking into their offices during COVID. But you were someone who began to embrace yourself and just look at yourself with love. And I really am so touched and moved and inspired by you sharing, because even in sales, which is what I've done for so many years, they say really the secret to making the sales and making the, doing very well is really connecting with the people and showing love, and that people can feel your genuineness and feel the love that's coming from you, which is why they want to buy from you. Right. Which is ironic, because when we watch television shows and we watch the movies, it always seems like that's the opposite that is celebrated, not what you're saying.
Right.
So how did you come to that realization that it works?
I think I just got tired. Quite honestly, I got tired of trying to be everything for everybody else. And I got to a point where I was like, wait a minute, I need to take care of me, because guess what? I'm the one that goes to sleep with myself at night. I'm the one that wakes up. I'm the one that knows what my thoughts are. I'm the one that knows my dreams. And I realized at a certain point that as a coach, I was coaching people to follow their dreams. I was coaching people to know their value, to charge their value. I was coaching entrepreneurs to, hey, if your value is this, then you should be charging. If your value of what you're doing is a $10,000 program, but you're charging $97 for it, there's something wrong. You're not being in alignment with even who you say you are. And I knew that I wasn't being in alignment with myself. And I realized that as I'm coaching people to follow their dreams, and yet I have a dream that I'm putting on the back burner, I wasn't in integrity with myself or what I was coaching. So,
So we want to talk about your dream, and we want to talk about that new business that you've launched and all of that exciting stuff. But we don't want to move on yet, because something you said was key. You said that you were coaching people to follow their dreams and to do what they needed to. And they were charging maybe $97 when they should have been charging $1,000. So for many of our listeners, they are coaches or business owners. How do you know that what you're charging is what you should be charging? So many of our fellow companions that are in this business arena will charge $59.99 and $97. So how did you know that it was okay now and you could transition? And what do you tell people so that they can come into themselves and truly charge what they're worth?
Certainly, 100%, it's all based on the results that you create. You know what you create for other people. So versus looking at what the market is charging, I don't look at market prices. Listen, I know what I can provide for you. If you hire me as your coach, if you hire me as your engagement specialist, whatever the role is that you're hiring me for, I know the results that I'm going to create. And there's a dollar value based on that. Now, I may go through and I may give you a $10,000 coaching or consultation, but only charging $6,000 versus, but there's an exchange. There's a reason why. So I understand that there's also a kind of a give back that I do for some businesses, that maybe not have the budget, but you have to know your value. You have to know the results that you create and have a dollar value to that result, whether it be where you're going to create. If you coach with me, I know that I can overcome this limiting belief that's going to allow you to create this much more income in your business or have this much more healthy life or relationships. Like, you have to be able to connect the dots for people.
Okay, so we are going to take a break. And when we come back, we are going to be with Matt Gil, and he is going to tell us how we can come into our own and begin charging the prices that we truly are valued at rather than the prices that we've been charging in the past. So thank you very much. Listen in. We're going to have this message, and we'll be right back with Matt Gil. Hello, and welcome welcome back to the Ask Arlene Show. We are joined today by none other than life coach and transformational coach, Mr. Matt Gil. He has been an executive working with the Motivating the Masses team for over 13 years. He's the right-hand person, the creative director for that organization that is headed by none other than the star life coach and motivational speaker, Lisa Nichols. So we're so excited to have him on the show with us today. And he was just talking with us about how we charge our worth rather than charging a minimal amount within our businesses. So Matt, how do you come back or combat people who are watching now and saying, but you're Matt Gil. You worked with Lisa Nichols. Your name is in lights. You've got thousands of people that follow you. So of course, you're going to be able to charge a very large price. But how do we, knowing that we also give results, have that value and place that value on our businesses to charge what we're worth?
So what people don't understand is that Matt Gil, the Matt Gil that you see now, is not the Matt Gil that has always been around. There's the Matt Gil that felt very, very lonely and was walking the streets of Hollywood Boulevard at 1 o'clock in the morning because he was either drunk or high on drugs. There is the Matt Gil that was sleeping around and falling in the arms of people, looking for love in all the wrong places. There was the Matt Gil that also gave up on his dreams, that went through and said, I'm not worthy of living the life that I dream in my mind. There was also a Matt Gil that would allow people to take advantage of him and his kindness and his finances and his love at the same time. So there's all different parts of Matt. So the Matt that you see today is not the Matt that has always been around. It's taken work. It's taken the opportunity of saying, you know what, let me take a look at my life and what changes do I need to make right now? I need to know that I need to love me first. You know, we think so many times that that our love has to go towards other people first, but we can't really 100% love other people if we don't love ourselves. Like that right there.
Excellent. Well said.
You cannot 100% love other people if you don't love yourself, because you're doing it for different motivations. You're loving on other people so that they love you back. You're doing things for other people so that people acknowledge you versus you acknowledging yourself for yourself. So my first thing was really taking a look at and embracing all of my story, the good, the bad, but especially the ugly. I know that I lead with love. How I lead my organization is with love. How I was, when I was creative director for Motivating the Masses, I led with love. But it was because I began to love myself first. I had to do the work. I had to get to a place where I was willing to say, you know what, Matt, you've made some really big mistakes, but we have to work through the guilt, the shame, the hurt, the frustration, and create healthy boundaries, create almost bumper rails to guide myself into a place of going through and up-leveling myself and elevating. I had to ask for forgiveness, and that was a tough.
Ask for forgiveness. That was going to be my question. So you were able to make that transition, and one of the ways that you did it, you just shared with us, is that you asked for forgiveness. So who were you asking for the forgiveness from? From yourself?
First God. First God. First God, because I knew that God has always been, and I say God, I'm not here to impose my belief, but I believe that there's something greater than us. I choose to call him God. And I had to first ask.
I'm a believer as well.
Amen. I love it. I love it. And I had to go through and ask for forgiveness from him first, because he has always been there. He has always provided the way. He has always said, listen, my son, I am waiting for you. I just chose a different path. And so I had to get forgiveness from him first, then learn to forgive myself, learn to understand that I made a decision based on where I was with the best information that I had at the time. Now,
how did you know where to go next? So you were living in the streets, you were abusing your body, you asked God for forgiveness, but how did you know what to do next? Like, how did you blow up? and become the Matt Gil that we know now. For those that are listening and want to achieve the fullness of their dreams.
Yeah, for me, it all started with the Four Agreements, the book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Okay.
Yes. Very simple read, very simple steps to follow. And that was my first introduction to personal development. I got back in touch with my spirituality, my faith, going back into church, just going through and praying more often, developing meditation habits. I still have struggle with meditation because my mind just wants to go 10 million miles an hour all the time. So, but I find that when I pray, my prayer time is me asking for help or asking for support. And my meditation at the time is silencing and being still enough for me to listen. Like that.
So in the past, you didn't do the meditation. You didn't do the praying in the past.
I didn't. I'd pray every once in a while. I was like, oh, God, get me out of this situation.
All of us, right?
Right.
Your back's up against the wall.
Exactly. Versus asking for support and say, God, guide me right now. Like I need help. Lead me to the path. And here's the thing, there's spirit talks to us all the time, and we doubt when spirit talks to us. It's our intuition. It's the things that we hear. It's the silent whispers.
How did you begin to listen? So it's the intuition that told you what about this new business venture and where you should go. But how, for those of us listening that might not be where you are, how do we know when it's speaking to us?
So it usually starts off with a small little whisper, and it's a voice inside your head that we think, what is that note? What is that? What is it saying? And the more that we don't listen to it or we don't follow it, we find that we begin to get in this place of struggle. We fall into a place of chaos. You see, when we follow when spirit is guiding you, all of a sudden doors begin to open and things get a little bit easier. Not a whole lot. It's not like all of a sudden the gates open up and we're like, oh, but there is a way. Right. But there is a way of going through and things begin to get clearer and there's less chaos. Now, for me, what I knew is it started off with just a little knock. And then that knock kept getting louder and louder and louder to the point where all of a sudden I was like, holy moly, wait, okay, I need to stop for a moment and I need to be still. And
Tell us about this. I'm sorry, go ahead, Matt.
Oh, and for me, in the darkest time in my life, it was seeing myself in the mirror at 125 pounds, 5'10", my face so sucked in, and I heard a voice that said, "This is not who you are," and it literally dropped me to my knees, and I began to wail, and I asked for help. I said, "God, if you're there, if you are truly real, get me out of this situation." And that was the moment that I then the Four Agreements came into my life. A friend of mine handed me that book. Lisa kept showing up in my life through The Secret, through a TV show called The Starting Over House. I got invited to a TV show that she was taping. And when I knew that she was going to be, it was her pilot for her TV show. And I had gone on the internet and I saw a video for motivating the teen spirit. And when I watched that video, I knew that was what I was supposed to do. And I didn't understand the how. Here's the thing. We keep going through and looking for the how. We hear the voice and we're like, well, how's that going to happen?
Yes.
Not about the how. It's about being willing to say yes. When you say yes, the how will show up. But we focus on how versus what it's going to be.
Beautiful, beautiful. We've been talking on the show about the 10 secrets to overcoming fear and getting unstuck. And one of those secrets is what you're talking about, getting clarity, visualizing what you want to do, deciding that it's going to be done, determining the end from the beginning, even though you're not sure how you're going to do it. So now we know that we're on the right track because Matt Gil has told us that this is what we should be doing.
Right. So, just say yes.
Now, if we weren't sure before, now we know, guys.
Right.
So, Matt, you have embarked on a new journey, and I want you to have an opportunity to share with us what you're doing, the amazing things that you're doing in your life at this next level with this new business. Tell us what the business is and how we can participate with you.
Of course. So June of last year, I decided in my spirit, I knew, listen, Matt, it's time to follow your dream. It's time to step out. It's time to do what you're coaching other people to do. So June of last year, I gave a 4 months notice and said at the end of September, I'm going to not leave, not quit, but I was going to graduate from motivating the masses. And I graduated from the coaching to launch my own business and to launch Matt Gil Global. And Matt Gil Global is all designed around engagement and connection. So I help give voice to people who feel that their voice is gone. I help people connect, especially in times of virtual. For those people that were part of Speak and Write, you guys remember I did live stream, and what I didn't realize and what I was saying is that live virtual events were going to be the way of the future. I didn't realize COVID was going to create that opportunity. But my business has increased since officially launching in January of this year. My business has increased by over 75% because of the virtual space. So I work with organizations, personal brands, companies, and help them with their virtual events, or teach people how to engage and connect more online and social media. It's all about engagement. It's all about connecting.
Excellent.
And using your story to connect.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Matt, and for spending time with us today. We have several people that have questions for you. Before you go out, we only have 1 minute left. So I know that Gary has a pressing question. We want to at least get in somebody before we close out.
Wonderful.
Are you on there, Gary? The Empress, are you on? Would you like to ask your question as we are about to close out?
Okay, so my question is, how do you know how to market your service?
That's a great question. So one is, what do you do? What are the results that you create? Telling your story. So why do people are not only looking for your type of service, but they want to make a connection to you. So when you're marketing, you want to be able to add your story in there, because your story is what makes you unique. Your story is what makes you stand out different from anybody else. So the fact that you may be doing, even if it's a service that you're providing, why are you passionate about that service? If it's a product that you created, why is this product the answer for the people? Like what was it inside of you that made you say, you know what, I'm going to invest my time, money, my thought, and my creativity into this product or this service to give to other people? Like, you pull people in by your story. And so your marketing should always have a piece of you, even if it's a product or a service.
Thank you so much, Matt, for sharing that with us. Unfortunately, the time is far spent. I don't know where it goes. It's because you're so brilliant and sharing with us such amazing information. So we're going to invite you to come back. Will you come back again on the show and do part 2?
Of course.
Excellent. Thank you for listening to our show today. I'd like to thank our listeners and let you know that you can still continue the conversation with us at bit.ly/AskArlene. And you can also join our website at askarleneshow.com. You can also connect with us at Ask Arlene Talk Show on Facebook. And we invite you at the close of the program to see the contact information for our esteemed guest today, Matt Gil. Thank you so much to those of us who have helped to put the show together. The Empress, Amani, William, Nicholas, Gary Clay. We just want to say thank you so much, because we cannot do this show without the team. So once again, Matt, thank you for spending the time with us today. And we hope to see you again at another time. And to our listeners, thank you for spending the time with us today. Bye-bye.